Blows my mind that that's still available, but how cool is that? What I can only describe as a BMW-sized oil leak.
Do not want to pull this. I just want to bring that lip up.
My fellow VTEC enjoyers, welcome back to the Turbo versus NA build-off, featuring this EF hatch plucked from Arizona for an NA build, and this EG hatch with a B18B swap liberated from the People's Republic of California. Last episode, we bolted a legit B16B Civic Type R engine and transmission into the EF, along with all the supporting goodies to make it rip some serious tech, including a PLM header, notched front subframe, and custom catted midpipe before finally firing it up. And now it's time to get this EF on the ground and ready to drive. There you have it, the most era-appropriate intake of all time installed on our B16B here in the EF, and that is, of course, an AEM cold air intake that they still sell specifically for a B-series swap into an EF chassis.
Unbelievable.
Blows my mind that that's still available, but how cool is that? We even put the sticker on here just for the nostalgic look of it, because that's just what everyone did in like 2001. They had to have stickers on all their parts. And man, honestly, although these do make like 5 to 7 horsepower at the wheel on the dyno on a B-series engine, really it's all about the sound, because with these long tube cold air intakes, they just make that VTEC engagement sound and the sound of the engine at high RPM just come to life. Oh, and by the way, off the top, you saw me open that box with this very special knife. This is from our neighbors and friends at Grimsmo Knives, who basically gave us a loaner. They were here and they saw we were using a crappy old utility knife, and they're like, hold on guys, we're gonna hook you up with the good stuff. So this is their Norseman, and my God, it is a work of art. It's a titanium body. They do them in different patterns and different finishes. They're even doing like carbon inlays in their handles now, which look really cool. And the best part about it is it's all made here in Canada in their facility here. Every little component, right down to like the screws and stuff, all made on their CNC machines, designed by them. It's amazing, the craftsmanship of these, and they also make beautiful pens.
As you guys have seen with this project, because we basically had a long block, we had to piece everything together, and the downside of doing something like that is we're missing so many small little things. And Dave just noticed we don't have a ground strap that runs from here to the valve cover, and you really do want one of those. Our buddy Tuning by Nick also told us, before we come to the dyno, you have to have the ground that runs from the harness hooked up right here to your thermostat. This has to be clean and proper. He's seen too many times where people show up to the dyno and they have like issues with it, and that's because that ground strap right there on the thermostat housing is not proper. And what I'm gonna do here, because I don't have an OEM one and I don't wanna order one, I'm gonna use a new tool that I just pulled out. And this is basically like a crimp tool for terminating thick wires such as this, making nice power and ground straps, I suppose. So let's see how this is gonna look here. Now I release it, I drop it, we pick it up, and we've got ourselves a nice terminated end right here. Now you can see I've got some DI wiring loom right here, the sheathing that runs around it, and then I'm going to finish this off with your shrink tube. Now DP, the question is, do you think, did I make it too long? Or, I was kind of thinking like if it needs to have that. If it was like a straight shot, I think it would have looked weird. But, now that I'm looking at it, maybe Maybe I'll tweak it a little bit more. And it's coming right off because, well, when I looked at it down here, I'm like, from a hood clearance standpoint, I think this may be a problem. It is going to be tight already with this B16B in here. This isn't gonna make things any easier. That is much better. I think we're gonna have the clearance, and I think we're gonna be just fine from a grounding standpoint. And as a bonus, it's, you know, a little more incognito back here anyways.
As you would have seen in the previous episode, we did not have the correct bushing for these Hasport shift linkages, but just picked them up from our buddies at Stage 4 Motorsport. They stock tons of hard race stuff. So these are hard race bushings. And as you can see, they just pop on here like that. And being from hard race, they also have less deflection in them than the OE rubber ones. And are also a little trickier to get on here. They're pretty tight. On the tail end of the shift linkage here, we took this off the D-Series linkage. It's an aftermarket bushing, and it's really soft and squishy, and the holes are oversized. And that hard race kit actually comes with this one, which is much stiffer, which is gonna take slop out of the system. So we're gonna pop this guy up in here and have better shift quality. Wow, with those hard race bushings in there, this K-Tune shifter feels so good. The throws are nice and short.
Better than your Type R, DP, because you don't have the hard race bushings.
I think it is better than the Type R, actually. Yeah, it has a really nice, precise feel to it. No slop in it at all. So yes, we have surpassed Type R goodness, although we do need to add a shift knob and tighten a few nuts. Well, it's Monday. We went away for the weekend, and we've come back to the shop to be welcomed by what I can only describe as a BMW-sized oil leak underneath the EF Civic. Well, looking around here, there are no leaks from unusual places, so that's good. And it does appear that the leak is coming from the gasket or the seal for the oil pan, which is actually very common on B-Series engines. I mean, it's a 25-year-old engine.
These gaskets always fail. Why?
They do. The B-Series ones are
for Honda.
Pretty notorious for it. So, I mean, there's other places they leak too, like common from the VTEC solenoid and the cam seals and stuff like that. So, you know, they're not magical engines that rubber doesn't age on. So we'll have to drop the pan, which is a bit of a bummer because that means we got to get the header out of the way and disconnect it from both the exhaust and the engine. So I've unbolted the pan, and amazingly it's coming down.
But maybe what I suspect has happened here, I bet you that gasket was reused. They didn't want to spend the money, get a new gasket.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
And so they just used a little bit of that Honda bond.
So just loosen the front subframe bolt enough that the header could drop down. And now, oil pan is out. You can see this gasket is like, it's hammered. It's cracking, and it'll peel off the edges, but not down the middle. Like, it is just so baked on there. So it's definitely time for a new gasket. I think that'll fix our problem. And while we're at it, you can see the bottom of the pan is quite badly dented in this area. Very typical of like a lowered Honda to dent the pan in here. So we'll just sort of hammer that dent back out from the inside, and we'll be as good as new. Now that I've got it started, see, looks like it's actually going to peel off pretty cleanly.
Oh, there you go. Look at this. Look at this, everybody.
Yep.
That's it. Oh, now you ripped it.
Oh, well.
So close, but well, this isn't going to be a 4-hour job, which is kind of nice.
No, it's not so bad. As you can see, I've cleaned up the surface for regasketing the pan, but first I'm going to knock the dent out of the bottom of it. But before that, allow me to address the elephant in the room, which is, why aren't we not baffling this pan? Because B-Series pans are basically unbaffled. Yes, I've spun bearings on an unbaffled B-Series pan before. However, our local road course TMP has very short, relatively low speed corners where you're not going to starve bearings even with an unbaffled pan like this. As long as you overfill the oil a little bit, we'll be fine. And we weren't planning to drop the pan, so we hadn't ordered baffles, which you'd have to weld in. It's a whole thing, or order a different baffled pan. And that also raised the question of, like, why didn't we drop the pan before and like re-ring the motor because it's blowing smoke? Guys, I'm getting older, and if we did all that, I'd retire before we finish this build. So it's really just down to time management and, you know, wanting to get through these builds in a reasonable amount of time and not having them like snowball completely out of control on us.
It's just a rabbit hole,
right?
It is. It always is.
Endless
Everyone's like,
rabbit
do
hole.
this,
So,
do that, but they don't understand. It all takes time
and money and effort, and it doesn't necessarily need to be
motors
done.
Are the last thing that need it, right?
We'll give this engine an Italian tune-up. The smoke will go away. We'll blow all the oil out of the oil control rings, and we'll bang this dent out, and we'll overfill the oil. Everything's going to be fine, everybody. Have some faith.
All right, let's see if this works here, DP. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's moving it. Well, we weren't planning to do this job, but it just so happens that we have a Moroso gasket in our stash from when we did the Moroso oil pan on the Type R, which we ordered from Turn 14 Distribution. So it looks very much like the OE gasket. It's a rubber gasket with the, you know, the correct pattern and everything. So I'm sure it'll work.
It's a Moroso, man. It's got to be better, DP.
Maybe it is an upgrade over the OEM one, but it's certainly an upgrade over the old one because this is nice and fresh and soft. So it'll make a good seal. However, just as a precaution, I'm going to put a layer of Honda Bond on the face of the pan and on the top side of the gasket where it mates to the block, just to give it that added opportunity to seal and not leak. All right, we'll fish this in here.
Whoa, DP. We didn't think of this, did we?
No, we didn't.
I think we're gonna have to drop this header a little bit more.
I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right.
It's got to come down a little bit more, otherwise we're going to make a mess of it.
Look
at the job you did. Wow.
I know. We want to act
perfect.
fast before this starts to
set.
Drop the front subframe and
oh yeah.
Now we're in business.
Look at this.
Butter. And Pete used his zip tie the gasket on trick.
That's right, everybody.
Where'd you learn that one?
Our BMW expert Shretton there. From N539 Restorations.
I like it.
He's the man with that kind of stuff. He's always got the right tips, and you can see it just helps you hold the gasket in place while you're fishing it on because it can move. And this has studs, so it's a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it helped us. It helped.
It also helps when you have a stud installing the pan, too.
Wow, there you go.
Moving on from the oil pan, we've got a brand new set of coilovers here from Annex Suspension. This is their Fast Road Pro setup, and the beauty of these is they're designed really for like enthusiastic street driving. So they still offer really good ride quality while offering all the adjustability they get with coilovers, and of course, adjustable dampening here. You've got 24 positions on the damper, so you can crank them up at the racetrack if you want to try to control, you know, body motion more, and then soften them up on the street for better ride quality. They come with a nice little rubber isolator in here, which is then like an NVH or noise, vibration, and harshness reducer. Overall, we just find them to be really great quality and exceptional riding on the street. So that's really what we're after here, is a nice riding car that we can take to the track and have some fun with. Next up, we've got axles. And for that, we went to our friends at Hasport Performance, who actually make B-Series style axles for engine swaps of all styles. I think they also make them for K-Series stuff too. Jump on their website, which is just Hasport Performance, for more information.
And this is specifically for the hydro trans too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't use the D-Series stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. We should mention that they do offer them in different flavors depending on what engine you're putting in this car, and you can't use the D-Series stuff.
Place your bets, everybody. DP, are you a one-shot kind of guy here, or is this going to take you like 15?
Well, now that the camera, you know, if the camera wasn't rolling, it would go in the first try. Oh my God, pop right in there. Like,
did it? Are you in? That's amazing. Look at that.
No, I didn't get past the snap ring. These are always a bit of a challenge. You have to use quite a bit of force typically to get the snap ring to really lock in there. So
let me show everybody down here what that kind of looks like. You can see it's kind of smashing. You don't really want to hammer it. Some people do.
Yeah, I have resorted to hammers.
You need that force, DP.
I know.
The spline is in. You just gotta, you know.
Get a little.
Come on. Give it.
Get a little angry. Come on. Come on. This is getting a little X-rated here, everybody. I apologize. We'll keep smashing away here, and eventually it's going to snap in there.
So you had to resort to
a dead blow. We're going to be a gentle lover here and see if we can get it a. Oh yeah, there it goes.
There it goes.
Yeah,
there it's in.
You can hear it bottomed out. This is the part of the video where we would typically do a brake upgrade or a brake overhaul, but as we told you guys about when we did the whole walk around of this car, this EF actually belonged to Brian at fastbrakes.com, who did his front and rear brakes on the car already, which you can see up front. It's a brand new 11-inch rotor. I think these are off of Volkswagen Corrado, if I'm not mistaken. It's got a nice little centering ring in here to adapt it to the Honda hub. This is an EX or like 94 to OR1 Integra caliper. Very easily sourced brake pads. So you can get a million different compounds in it. So this has all been freshened up. You can see it's got a stainless steel brake line on here and an adapter bracket to make it all fit. So brakes are sorted out, and we would also typically be doing a bunch of control arms and bushings at this point. Normally we use hard race, and that is in fact what we plan to put on this car and on the EG, but we are in a holding pattern We placed an order with our local source for hard race, which is stage4motorsports.com, and they've been waiting for that shipment to arrive. So it's not here yet. So you'll see a bunch of hard race stuff go on this car and the EG later in this series. Man, you gotta love golden era Hondas. They're so simple to work on, and we should mention that Brian at Fast Brakes did do a rear disc conversion on this car already. I forget the exact specifications of what's used, but it's all Honda bits. And of course we put in the NX Fast Road Pro coilovers in the rear. We've just taken a guesstimate on ride height. We'll dial that all in once we get the car on wheel stands. And there you have it, our EF is lowered onto our wheel stands, and we'll explain to you what exactly we use these for a little bit later. But first, let's just marvel at what a beautiful wheel and tire package this is. I think going with Enki's classic RPF1 wheel just suits this chassis, this engine swap, this whole vibe so very well. And what a remarkably lightweight wheel it is too. These are a 15x7 plus 35 offset, and they weigh less than 10 pounds. And they feel like in your hand like they want to float away, they're so light. It is mind-blowing. They aren't great for caliper clearance. We're quite tight here, so do keep that in mind if you're going to like a big brake kit. You want to make sure you do have caliper clearance with them, but I just love the design of them. The silver looks perfect on the white. I think it's a home run. And as for tires, well, we know those are a home run too, because these are our favorite summer tires. This is Continental's Extreme Contact Sport 02 in a 205 50/15. And what an amazing tire this is. As you've seen on our channel many times before, they perform remarkably well at the racetrack. They can take lots of abuse. They make tremendous dry grip, and they're also class leading in the wet. And one of the details I like about these tires is they put this DW in the tread here, where the D, when it disappears, means your dry performance is no longer optimum. And when the W disappears, it means your wet performance is no longer optimum. So it's giving you a really nice like visual cue to what your tread depth and what your wear is like on your tire. I should also mention, anytime you buy a set of Continental tires, it does come with their Total Confidence Plan, which is a warranty plan that gives you a tremendous amount of coverage. It's pretty remarkable. It comes with roadside assistance for 3 years. Depending on which model of tire you get a mileage warranty as well. This particular one comes with 30,000, but some of their higher mileage tires will go to like 70,000 miles of warranty. They'll even put you up in a hotel if one of your tires fail and you're far enough away from home. So jump on continentaltire.com for more information on that warranty plan if you'd like it. But most importantly, if you want the best performing summer tire money has to offer, we really do think the Extreme Contact Sport 02 is the answer. As for those wheel stands I mentioned earlier, what we've done with them is set up a level platform, which sounds strange, like, bro, isn't your floor level? And the answer to that question is almost always no. Doesn't matter if it's your garage floor or a shop space like this, your floor is not going to be level. In our case, we have a drain very close to the lift, and the floor slopes quite aggressively toward that drain, and that means when we're setting a car up on the floor, it's sitting on quite an angle. And when you're doing something like, say, an alignment, or even something as simple as setting ride height, being on a level surface makes the job much easier and much more accurate. So to give us a level surface, we have these BG Racing stands at each corner, which then need to be leveled using this laser in the center. So first you level your laser so it's level in all directions, and then you set up these little stands on each post with which has markers on it, and as you move the laser around each one, you can see what their relative heights are. Then you can adjust the feet on them. At the end, you have a perfectly level platform that you can now do an alignment on and set your ride height on. So it takes a while to do. One of the other nice things about these wheel stands is they give you access to the underside of the car so that you can torque suspension bolts that go through bushings where you really want the weight of the car to be on the bushing and on this joint so that it doesn't bind when you're torquing it down. It's in correct alignment. So really this is the only way to do this kind of thing other than, say, simulating ride height by jacking up that part of the suspension, but this is certainly a better way to do it.
Yeah, I find that never does it properly. Right?
Yeah,
it's only loading one side.
Exactly, it's the right way to do it. Or like on an alignment rack, which is how you would do it at an actual pro shop. All right, I'm now setting tire pressures the same on all 4 corners, just because that can affect ride height measurements. If one tire is overinflated, it'll actually raise your measurement on a ride height setup. So make sure you do that. And we should also mention that our front NX coilovers are set to full low in the front. So this is as low as you can go on this setup. And you can see I get 1 finger in here, which is the magic number. You always want that 1 finger gap. I think that's perfect for around here. However, out back, we have a 3 finger gap, which is 2 fingers too many. I know that's a very scientific measurement, but that translates to 1.5 inches or 40 mil for those of you who care. So we're gonna lower the rear so it matches the front. We might put a little bit of rake in it since front drive cars tend to like a little rake. It helps them rotate if you get the back end a little higher than the rear, but we're not going to obsess over like handling details. These things are going to the racetrack in the winter, PT, so we just want to go and have fun and see which car is more fun to rip around in. Well, a little suspension adjustment later, and we've got the rear gap down to like 1.5 fingers, which translates to 5 mil of rake. So we have the rear 5 mil higher than the front, but overall I think the ride height looks really good. It's I would say a usable ride height. It's low enough to look good, but it's high enough to have some travel and not like bottom out anywhere or just generally run into ride quality issues, suspension geometry issues, all that kind of stuff. So really happy with the way this looks. All right guys, it's a new day here, and looking more closely at the way the car is sitting, first of all, I think the ride height looks really good, but because we went with a 15x7 plus 35 offset wheel, we're pretty aggressive in the back here. It looks like the tire is gonna rub on the lip. We only have 1 degree of negative camber in the rear right now because we don't have adjustable arms. And then it dawned on us that the upper camber arm in the rear of this car is the same as like DC2 EG, a very common fitment. And Chris at Stage 4 stocks so much hard race stuff. We're like, hey, do you have one of these camber arms? Sure enough, he did. So I went and grabbed them, and we are gonna put this in here so that we can put some more camber in the rear. All right, stock arm is super simple to pull out. And if you look at it compared to the hard race one, it's pretty obvious. This is one set shorter, so it's gonna put a bunch of negative camber into it, and it's adjustable. It's just a turnbuckle, you unlock the 2 jam nuts, spin the center, lengthens and shortens it, you get the camber you want. Well, we just added some camber in the rear here. You can see we're just at 2.1 degrees, and it's still pretty close to possibly catching this lip, and the problem is if it catches it, it'll like peel it down. So just to be a little extra cautious, I think we'll bust out the fender roller.
And I am almost done here. Just flattening this lip a little bit more. I don't want to go too far. We're trying to really maintain the original line here. We do not want to pull this. I just want to bring that lip up. And I think at this point, we are likely there. I don't think we can go any further per se than where we're at right now. So I'm happy with it. And I think this will give us just that extra little protection that in case we do have any rubbing, like Dave said, the last thing you want when you have a lip that stands out is the tire will come up, it'll grab it and it'll pull it down. And then all of a sudden, all that sheet metal comes out like this and paint cracks and you got trouble. This way, it'll rub, if anything. Our roll job looks like it's paid off. We are gonna have a ton of clearance here. I also did use a bit of like black paint on the inside here. Just, there was no cracking, but you know, you can never be too safe. To me, it's always worth coating after doing a bit of a roll there.
And here it is on the ground. And man, does it ever look good? This is taking me back to high school, PT. I'm old enough that in high school, these were new. And I would see guys rolling around the mean streets of Ottawa in like lowered ones on RPF ones. And I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. So to be like living this now, 30 years later, kind of blows my mind, but it just looks so cool. I mean, that has got to be one of the most iconic JDM wheels ever made. And it just suits this chassis so perfectly. And the ride height, I think we've got it looking really good. Frankly, it's probably a little bit low realistically for the streets we have here, but I don't care. It just looks so good, everybody. So enjoy it. This is not the final reveal, however. Obviously, we don't have the hood on it. And we do have some other upgrades that we're gonna be making to the exterior. In fact, we do have like one more build episode where we're gonna finish this thing and then we're gonna go to the dyno. We'll show you what kind of power that engine makes. And then we'll move on to the EG. And when that's done, we'll go to the track. That's right, we're going to the track in the dead of winter. So you may see a tire change in the future too. So there you go, everyone. I've spoiled the whole build series for you now. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do hit the subscribe and the like button and do all those algorithmic things for us. We do appreciate the support, and we will see you in the next one.